This is what the grass is, the lawn is, to most people in winter. I suppose that is particularly if you've got a couch. This is Greenlees Park. This is in a turf growing area just on the outskirts of Sydney. Now they've had about 30 odd frosts in a row and they've been down to as low as about -6 degrees. But nonetheless, this is couch in frosty areas in winter. Look at it, a sort of a straw yellow to light brown colour. There are green bits in all fairness. That's them here. They're called weeds. Now, a lot of the modern couch grasses were developed by really good plant breeders for use on golf courses or football ovals or whatever. And where you've got vast spaces like you have here, they grow fairly well, except for the fact they look very brown in winter. But I would argue that a lot of the modern couches are not great grasses for home gardens because there's a lot of shade in home gardens and they often don't tolerate the shade very well. The better choice, in my view, for many areas would be many of the modern varieties of buffalo grass, but how do they do in winter? Well, to be honest, this really isn't very much better at all. This is one of your typical buffalo varieties in winter. So many of the buffaloes, well, you can see they brown off. They initially purple off. You can see in the background that purpling, and then they go to this brown when you've had frosts. Remember, these frosts here are about -6 degrees. And I don't really like the look of that much. If this was my lawn, wouldn't do it for me. This is ST85, this variety, but it's typical of a lot. But there is great news. There are 2 new varieties that leave this for dead. Now this is pretty acceptable to me. This particular one is a variety called Sir Walter. You'll notice, looking at it here, it's quite reasonably green. But this is also a much more vigorous variety of buffalo than the old-fashioned ones. And perhaps the most wonderful news of all is that the 2 buffaloes I'm going to show you now, this and the next one, both of them are reasonably tolerant of herbicides. In the old days, if you sprayed one of the selective herbicides onto a buffalo lawn, well, you wouldn't have much of the lawn left. This particular one, Sir Walter, and the next one we're going to look at, the other green one, Palmetto, are reasonably tolerant of those sorts of sprays. So if you've got weeds, you can spray them out. Just make sure on the bottle or the packet that you're using it says suitable for buffalo lawns. Now I should just point out, this is out in the open where the frosts are really savage. It won't be like this in a domestic lawn. Over near the buildings there, which are more typical of what you'd get at your place where it's got a little bit of protection, it really is very, very green indeed. Remember, they're down to -6 here for frost. You're unlikely to get it that bad, but this is a very good lawn. Name of this one, Sir Walter. This one is Palmetto, and I think you'd agree it's pretty good for winter, considering again that -6 degrees out here and lots and lots and lots of frosts. This one is not quite as resistant to those sprays, although you can spray this one with a herbicide if you've got weeds in it. Not Zero or something, a selective herbicide. But this one does hold its green slightly better in winter. So there's 2 of them that we would recommend as being brilliant lawns. And I think these will extend into Melbourne a lot shortly too. Melbourne hasn't used a lot of buffalo in the past, but these really do offer a lot for areas, cooler zones like Melbourne. Another thing that's really good about these 2 selected buffalo varieties is that they stay greener when there's not much water around. So in a sense, they're far more drought tolerant. This one is Palmetto, the other one is Sir Walter. These are new varieties of buffalo grass. They're much better than anything we had in the past. Vigorous, easy to grow, greener in winter, fantastic lawns. So do look for them, either Palmetto or Sir Walter.